morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to have a good old chat about a new pair of cards, which is reminding me about an old pair of cards, and I think is gonna be awesome. It's all to do with Meowstic, but really, it's all to do with Fluffy Cat Toy. That's how Antoine has translated, lovely Antoine Boulet, of course, has translated the name of this item card, and I'm willing to go along with it. You can use this card only if you go second, and only on your first turn. Put one energy from your opponent's Pokemon back into your opponent's hand. Basically, it undoes their first energy attachment. Your opponent attaches an energy, you undo that energy attachment. Job's a good one. And you know what? That's actually really fun. You go second, but you still basically get the first energy attachment. That sounds really very good. It's very, very much along the lines of Wait and See Hammer. Now, Wait and See Hammer can only be used if you go second on your first turn. It actually discarded an energy. So this is a nerfed Wait and See Hammer because it puts it back into their hand rather than discarding it. Which is honestly a little bit weird that they've reprinted Wait and See Hammer with a nerf, but never mind. Here's the thing though. Generally speaking, what you really want to do here is you want to play 4 of these to give yourself the maximum chance of drawing into it on your first turn. Yes, I know you can use stuff like Arven to up your chances and all of that, but generally speaking, you want to play 4 of these so that you can maximize your chances of actually hitting one of these turn 1 going second. That's what you want to do. The problem is you can only use one of these because you can only use it turn 1 going second, and your opponent's only really going to have 1 energy, so yeah. That's a little bit annoying. Okay, fine, right. Now, with cards like Glass Trumpet in the format, yes, there absolutely are some possibilities where your opponent could have multiple energy on the turn. They've just literally had turn 1 going first and nothing else. They could actually have multiple energy, so maybe you could use a few of these in quick succession, fine. But most of the time, you're only ever going to use 1, but you kind of want to play 4. Well, that's where Meowstic comes in. Now, Meowstic is a stage 1, 90 HP, terrible attack. 3 energy, 80 damage, nobody cares, mate. But we've got the ability Luring Tail. Once during your turn, you may discard 1 Fluffy Cat Toy card from your hand to use its ability. Choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and switch it with their active Pokemon. Now, at this stage, I need to remind you guys about a card that many of you are probably very unaware of, although I have talked about it more than once on this channel, the Promo Alolan Meowth. And the reason I think a lot of people are going to be unaware of this card is because it never got an English release. We never ever got this Meowth in the West. It was a Japanese card with stunning Hyganasuke artwork, and by now you should know I love me some stunning Hyganasuke artwork. Never got an English release. Stayed as a Japanese exclusive. But that was a card that said that once during your turn, you could discard a Wait and See Hammer from your hand to draw 2 cards. And remember that Wait and See Hammer is basically a slightly better version of Fluffy Cat Toy. Well, we had a cat that could discard Wait and See Hammer. Now that was drawing 2 cards. And now we've got a cat that can discard Fluffy Cat Toy, which is gusting. But we've had these 2 cards that do pretty much the same thing. And then a cat that can discard them to gain an advantage from doing so. That's a fun little callback. This makes me happy. The thing is, I liked Alolan Meowth. I liked it as a bit of a draw engine. But gusting is huge. Gusting is absolutely huge. We would not play a supporter card that draws 2 cards, and I know that because we had Bill for years and nobody played Bill. Also, Mum's Kindness. We didn't play those cards. Nobody played those cards. They were terrible. Draw 2 supporter card, no. But a gusting supporter card, like everybody's playing Boss's Orders right now. Like every single deck is playing Boss's Order, pretty much. Every single deck is playing Boss's Orders. Now, admittedly, we're using a Stage 1 Pokemon and an item card, which is a decent amount of effort, I grant you. But remember that item card is going to be potentially good for undoing your opponent's first energy attachment and putting you an energy ahead in the game. So that's pretty good. And then also bear in mind that what we've got here is actual gusting without using your supporter. So if you desperately need gusting and an energy, you can play a Professor's Research, and then you can hopefully draw into the energy and the gusting, but you can't Professor's Research to draw it into a boss's orders. That don't make no sense. I adore this card. And I do think it's going to be good. People play gusting. If there is a good way to gust, people will play it. Yes, I am aware that a Stage 1 is not as easy as some others. I understand that. And yes, I also fully understand that having to have an item card as well and having limited free uses, blah, 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 nobody really cares. Having a Stage 1 sitting on the bench is really not that much effort right now. It is not that difficult to get a Stage 1 sitting on the bench. And then you add on to that 4 item cards. But essentially, those 4 item cards become item versions of boss's orders. Like with a Meowstic on the bench, a fluffy cat toy just turns into a boss's orders. And it can be turned off by your opponent taking a KO, which is a pain. And you can fail to draw into your item cards and all of that. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect. And I understand that playing like a 2-2 Meowstic line and 4 fluffy cattail could be a pain. Takes up 8 spots of your deck. So I'm not saying it's definitely going to work, and we do have plenty of gusting options. You know, Boss's Orders is still in the format. A lot of decks are playing Prime Catcher right now as their ace spec. Of course, there is an argument here that if you play this, you can essentially free up your ace spec for something else. That is one option. Counter Catcher is still very much in the format at the moment, so if you're behind on prizes, that's item-based gusting without having to have a Stage 1 in play at the same time. This isn't a card where I look at it and go, oh my goodness, it's an amazing absolute must-play in every single deck or any of that. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. What I am saying, however, is that this is very much the kind of thing that could see a bunch of play. That a bunch of decks could take advantage of, that could end up being good. And that is my point here. It's not that I think it's a must-play in every deck. It's that there is a lot of potential here, and I think that is really what's relevant. It gives you an option to have a Stage 1 sitting on the bench, and then you draw into an item card, and you've essentially got item-based gusting. The only downside is, and it's a fairly significant downside, you need to be playing a Stage 1 in your deck, and then you need to actually get that Stage 1 and get it out and pop it on the bench and all of that. So, yes, aware that it's not perfect, but it is pretty cool. For what it's worth, there is a new Esper here as well, but we don't need to spend too much time on the Esper. It is, frankly, not particularly awesome. But what we do have here is just a single colourless energy, and then you get to look at your opponent's hand. It's not perfect, not claiming it's perfect, but it is a nice, handy little bonus. You know, it's kind of cool. Also, we need to do that thing we always do where we go, okay, well, there's a new Meowstic coming. Are there any others? You know, if we're going to be playing the evolution line, are there any others that we can take advantage of along these lines? Could we combine it? Well, there is exactly 0 other Meowstic that are legal in the format right now. Sorry. The most recent Meowstic we got was the one from Cataday, one from Broken Bonds that had Cataday. Not saying it's not cool. Absolutely am saying that it's not legal and hasn't been legal for quite a while. So sorry about that. There will be no fun combinations with old cards. I tried, ladies and gentlemen. I tried. Honestly, for me, the coolest thing here is just the idea that we've actually got the wait and see Alolan Meowth combo back. But actually, it's even better now. I'm going to go ahead and give it an extremely tentative 4 Wassies. This really could go either way. This could be a card that the entire player base looks at and goes, no, I'm not doing that. Or it could be a card that a lot of people use as a fun little tech to get item-based gusting. And I'm telling you right now, traditionally, item-based gusting has been incredibly strong Is it worth having a stage 1 on the bench to achieve? I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. For now, I've told you what you need to know, so now I want to hear from you. Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to see a bunch of play? Or do you think it is going to be too awkward in the end? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Stegoraptor, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.